What's up, friends? I'm Jonathan Miller, and welcome back to Jonathan Miller Music, where we help each other become better artists. Taylor Swift has had one incredible year in 2023, and the year isn't even over. It's been just about a year since she dropped her highly anticipated 10th studio album, Midnights, and since then, Taylor has only continued her reign as a titan of the global music industry. From things like dropping Speak Now, Taylor's version, collaborating with Ice Spice, the Eras Tour, and its record-breaking accompanying film, and so much more, Taylor Swift is dominating the game in a nearly unmatched capacity. So as we approach the release of 1989 Taylor's version, I thought I would do something that I've never really done on this channel before and revisit Midnights 1 year later to compare and contrast my initial thoughts on the album versus what I feel now about it. I've made it very well known that my emotions definitely play a role in how I perceive Taylor's music, and my personal life has changed pretty drastically since Midnights was dropped in 2022. When Midnights was initially released, my dad was losing his battle to cancer and only had about 6 months to live, ultimately only being 1. My mom had just beaten her battle with cancer. This channel was growing faster than I could honestly keep up with. I was super depressed, anxiety-ridden. So as you can imagine, I was in quite the emotional state in 2022. Since then, I've had space to grieve properly. My mom is healthier than ever. I moved to a brand new place that I love. I feel like I'm participating in my life again. I've attended the Eras Tour. I went to see Twice in June. I just saw the Eras Tour movie, which was fantastic. I'm back to making music that I love and cannot wait to share with you. I've recently gone through a lot of trauma therapy, and I am honestly, genuinely the happiest I have ever been in my life. So like the complete opposite of 2022. So let's take a look at Midnights to see how I felt then versus what I feel now, track by track in this special retrospective album review. In my reaction video, I said that Lavender Haze was an instant bop and would stay in rotation, and that's been largely pretty true. Lavender Haze seems even more fitting now that she's been seen more and more with Travis Kelce, and Taylor refuses to answer anyone trying to ask her anything about it. This song is very much about reminding people that women, in this case Taylor, are more than who they date, and we are not owed someone's private life or information. The song really does establish the 70s influence and how much Taylor plays around with sonic texture on Midnights. We didn't even know if Midnights would be a pop record when she dropped it, because remember, nothing was released ahead of the album. But I'm glad she did decide to do a pop record. This album is a vibe, and Lavender Haze, which also opens the Midnights era on the Eras Tour, is a standout from the record even a year later. Her falsetto is gorgeous, the message is great, and the production is solid. Definitely still a bop in 2023. And you can drop your next bop with DistroKid. DistroKid is one of the top and best music distribution platforms on the market, helping artists like you and me get our music up on streaming platforms like Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, and Amazon. For one small yearly price, you can distribute as much music as you'd like, and depending on which plan you select, you'll also gain access to a wide library of additional helpful features aimed at aiding you in growing, promoting, and managing your music career. One such incredible feature is Social Phone. A separate service, Social Phone by DistroKid makes it really easy to get your fans' phone numbers so you can text them directly and let them know what you're up to or tell them about your latest music drop. Simply choose a secure phone number to send and receive texts, which are unlimited, and hand it out to your fans to opt into. This works both in the US and for international fans too, so use my special VIP link to save yourself 7% on your first year's membership with DistroKid. Link is in the description. In 2022, I said Maroon gave me 1989 vibes and complimented the vocal production and harmony stacking in the chorus. And again, that's pretty much true a year later, although Midnights has definitely become its own sound and style. Maroon is another standout from the record, and as much as I hate it not being on the standard set of the Eras Tour, I think if we're being honest, it's a bit too slow-paced for at least that portion of the tour, and really works well as a surprise song. Maroon offers airiness to Midnights. It gives iconic lyrics and is actually the first time we hear her say the F word in a pop song, which sounds wild to think about given like All Too Well 10-minute version and Folklore and Evermore. But Maroon is a necessary track to the record, and I still would love a music video for it. But I think by now we can kind of safely assume that it's officially a B-side on Midnight. I still love this track, if not more so than when I first heard it in 2022. When I first heard Antihero, I hadn't seen the music video yet, so I had no visual to influence my opinion, but I was still complimentary of its lyrics. Now, I admit I didn't actually listen to Antihero a whole lot at the time because I was depressed and the lyrics honestly just made me feel worse about myself. Now, however, that is not the case at all. Antihero absolutely is a cool moment on Midnights and one I enjoy very much. If you watch my in-depth analyses on TikTok of Taylor's albums and songs, you'll know that I've mentioned how Antihero, despite its bubbly, upbeat, and humorous approach, is actually one of the saddest moments on Midnights. The lyrics specifically highlight Taylor as the protagonist in her music and her depression. Her insecurities in life, love, fame, and more all take center stage in this anti-anthem. It's crying on the pop dance floor in which the protagonist uses humor to cope with how miserable they feel. Make sure you're following me on TikTok because I'm going to dive into this one in more detail soon, but I'm not surprised it has become, I believe, her longest running #1 hit on the Hot 100. It's definitely a bop, and yes, Taylor, I think we can all agree that you'll be fine. Much like everyone else when it dropped, I was a bit disappointed with the initial version of Snow on the Beach because Lana Del Rey was basically just a more pronounced background vocalist. So I'm glad we eventually got the more Lana Del Rey version. The song itself is very atmospheric and beautiful. It's a track I've definitely gone back to on occasion, maybe not as much as others on Midnights, but it's still a great track. The words, production, and Chef's Kiss Janet Jackson reference all make this song feel like an experience. If we'd never gotten the more Lana Del Rey version, I'd still probably be a bit critical of it, but since we did, I think it's okay. I do kind of wish the more Lana version was the official version, even though now I really do love the standard version. Both are pretty good. The track 5 that inspired the friendship bracelet trading at the Eras Tour, which has now sparked a global sense of community among Swifties on an unprecedented scale. When I first heard it, I said it was a beautiful song, but what I didn't realize at the time was how deeply it was actually hitting me. I, like many Swifties, have quite the personal attachment to this song, so I'm very glad it was included in the Eras Tour film. It's actually quite an inspiring track that takes you through various ages in Taylor's life, which, of course, I can project my own experiences onto. You're on Your Own Kid hit especially hard as I learned to navigate losing a parent. The song is beautiful and a necessary addition to Midnights and Taylor's discography of track 5s. This is one that I've played a lot since Midnights came out and has since for sure become one of my favorites. For several reasons, I consider Midnight Rain to be the official, unofficial title track of Midnights. I think it places emphasis on sonic texture to create another mood that highlights the lyrics. She specifically mentions changing and following a career while not choosing a quiet life as a wife. I don't really like speculating about people's personal lives because it's truly none of my business, and obviously I don't know Taylor personally. But seeing as she has made it clear that she and Joe are not together anymore, I'll just say this. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that having a very long-term relationship end for whatever reason would cause a person to change, especially someone as high profile as Taylor. I respect her honesty in the song, and the outfit change is such a memorable moment on tour. While I may not personally listen to the song a ton, I still really like it and still think it's a memorable moment. Out of the Woods is one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs. So when I heard that I Remember interpolation, I was stunned, especially because everyone hates on Out of the Woods for being too repetitive, but I will die on this hill that Out of the Woods is a masterful production in mimicking how anxiety feels. Question on the flip side is almost like a response several years later, when Taylor, the protagonist, has finally worked through that anxiety and is finally calm enough to ask the questions they really wanted to ask during that relationship. In my reaction video, I said question was Chef's Kiss, and I stand by that. I really do like this song and have found myself singing it on more than one occasion. It's one I listen to fairly regularly and love how it progresses. It might not be a fan favorite or whatever, okay, I've seen the videos in your comments, but I still think it's fantastic. I said in my reaction video that Vigilante Shit gave me Reputation vibes, and after all of our lives being forever changed, seeing that chair dance on the live streams, in tour, and now in IMAX, I stand by the rep coding in this song. I know that some people out there hate this song because it is so painfully millennial, which I gotta say makes me laugh because it's almost like Taylor is a millennial and she would write like a millennial. That's weird. It's weird how that happens. Anyway, but this song is badass. It's got a dose of darkness and playfulness that also offers a throwback vibe. Like if it had a music video, I'd want it to be an old-time heist and slick. She saw the memes and the hate and gave this song the hottest choreography she has done to date to shut everyone up, and I love it. Bejeweled has become iconic in the year it's been since we collectively heard it for the first time. I said initially that Bejeweled and Midnights as a whole felt very familiar but also new, and I think it's safe to say now that was clearly on purpose. There's several callbacks to Taylor's previous work on this album, and Bejeweled to me feels very Lover and 1989. Then we got the music video and she created a whole spreadsheet of Easter eggs that I'm sure we've still yet to figure out, directly referencing her work. As an extension of this, the Bejeweled dance, courtesy of Michael on TikTok, has made this song even more of a moment. It's a vibe, it's empowering, and such a standout on the album. Midnights has very dark, sad undertones, and Bejeweled is a nice lighter moment. I love what the song has become because even in 5-10 years from now, I think all Swifties are gonna remember how fun it was, which is amazing. Plus, the anticipation for Speak Now Taylor's version really began to mount following the music video, so it's just been a cool moment for everything. Labyrinth initially reminded me of Daylight, but now it's evolved into its own moment in my mind, even though I think the similarities are still there. I think Labyrinth is a very vulnerable moment on Midnights, detailing how scary it can be to fall in love when you've been burned before. While just as atmospheric as the rest of the record, and maybe not a song I go to stream a lot, I don't necessarily qualify it as a hard skip either. If it comes on, I'm gonna listen, especially if you're in the right mood set. Labyrinth is a beautiful track, and I just think you have to look at it more like a painting rather than a song or a bop or something. It adds a dose of vulnerability to Midnights, like I said, so even if it's not the track I stream the most, it's still gorgeous regardless. I was so caught off guard when Karma ended up being a much brighter song than the dark Reputation vibes I was hoping for. Taylor knew exactly what she was doing when she dropped the title during Midnight's Mayhem, and I think everyone is still convinced that it means something, especially with the man wall, the orange door at the end of the tour. The Karma theory still continues to this day, and for good reason. This song has become one of my top 3 from Midnight's because it is such a bop and one I may or may not personally resonate with. I've always seen Karma and Bejeweled as sort of like sisters on this album, as brighter, more anthemic moments in contrast to the more atmospheric and sonic-driven songs that occupy a majority of the track list. The Ice Spice remix was unexpected and cool, and Facts now lives on forever in history as one of the biggest memes in Swiftology. I like Ice Spice, I really do, but I just adore the solo version of this track. Karma is oftentimes associated with darkness and vengeance, which is why I originally thought Reputation, but I have since loved her more brighter twist on that mindset. This is one of my favorites even now. I enjoyed Sweet Nothing from the get-go, but I'll be honest, I haven't really gone back to it very much. I would never call it a skip or rate it poorly. I guess this is just an example of how my emotions play a role in what music I gravitate to. I was super sad, and hearing this happy falling in love song is not something I resonated with back then, but it's definitely something I want to listen to more now. Sweet Nothing is simple, it's pure, and really a soft, touching moment that sometimes, if I didn't know any better, I would swear was on Lover. I need to listen to this more now because it is so happy and cute and just a feel-good moment. Swifties have called Taylor Swift a mastermind for years, and this is another track I liked right away. Her nickname of Mastermind continues to be cemented because no one is doing it like Taylor. The foreshadowing, the work ethic, stamina on stage. She's truly a phenomenal artist. Mastermind, the song, is more of Taylor's storytelling at its finest. You can tell a great story and still make an upbeat pop number. Pop music doesn't have to be and isn't always so simple, especially lyrically, and Mastermind is a great reminder of that. Also, ending Midnights with another confession is just a perfect way to close out the standard version of this record that basically does nothing but confess things from start to finish. The Great War initially reminded me of Afterglow in its lyrics, which it definitely still does, except now it just reminds me of Ticketmaster. That whole fiasco. I'm sure this is true for every Swiftie out there, since we all collectively call getting tickets to the Eras Tour the Great War. And rightfully so, because all that is tied to the Midnights and Eras Tour era. The song itself is sonically different ever so slightly from the rest of Midnights. It doesn't quite have that pop polish that the main tracks have. It's okay though, it's not supposed to. Again, we've got a great song that I've definitely streamed, but I do see why it's a bonus track, and even a year later, I think that's a good placement for it. When Bigger Than the Whole Sky first came out, a lot of Swifties speculated that it might be about miscarriage. And honestly, in my opinion, that's not even something to speculate about. That is so incredibly personal. But the fact of the matter is, this song is about loss. And heavy loss. It is one of the saddest moments on Midnights. Even now, it's hard not to be affected by it when you listen to it. Her lyrical use of the butterfly effect, with wondering if some insignificant thing that happened over in Asia or somewhere resulted in this catastrophic loss by some twisted chain of events, is just so expertly crafted. Whether it is miscarriage or death or just some type of loss, this song hits. If you, like me, can relate to it in some way, my heart still goes out to you. Paris is a song that I definitely like, but don't really stream. I do love the mashup of Welcome to New York and Paris that circulates on TikTok every few months though. I just, even now, still always want a really fun pop chorus, and it just never comes. It's just not in the song, and I know that, and I've accepted that, but it's just that want, that longing is there every single time I listen to it. So honestly, even though I do like it, I just don't stream it very often. I'm still grouping High Fidelity and Glitch into one category because I'm gonna be honest, even a year later, these are the songs that I skip. I appreciate the productions as a producer, I really do, but that whole sonic vibe is just not really my thing. So I guess my opinion hasn't really changed on those either. I still feel that Would've, Could've, Should've belonged on the main album of Midnights, even if it is sonically a little bit different and quite a bit darker from the rest of the record. It's a necessary reflection though. And while I initially said it reminded me of All Too Well, a more appropriate connection would be to Dear John. I mean, the lyric, "Give me back my girlhood, it was mine first," is hauntingly powerful and sad and regretful because you can just hear the frustration from that inner child in the way that she sings this line. Her voice on this track is so different to everything else on Midnights. It's very raw, and yes, I know she's a vocalist and she is trying to portray a certain emotion in the song, but like there are some things that you just can't fake, and you can't fake this emotion unless you feel it. And it's unfortunately another song that I relate to, but luckily with trauma therapy, this song has actually over time brought me a lot of peace. I'm sure it's very vulnerable for Taylor to sing or to even release, but I applaud her and thank her for releasing it, because truly this song, as haunting as it is truly a work of art. Dear Reader is my favorite song from Midnights for both its message and my emotional attachment to it. It gives beautiful advice, but the twist is that Taylor as the protagonist is giving this great advice when she is her most depressed and most lonely. I did a whole 10-minute deep dive on the song over on TikTok as to why this song is functionally deep, but it's also in line with the emphasis on sonic texture that the rest of Midnight's has. I think this song is fantastically written from start to finish, and even though it's somber, it's a good track to close Midnight's with, because again, in that bridge, you get that confession statement. It's just very well done, and it's a beautiful song. Target exclusively getting hits different for months was a crime. This song has become a fan favorite for not only being refreshingly 1989 era style pop, but also its lyrics. The song is so good from start to finish and will get stuck in your head after just one listen. This is the pop banger we'd been waiting for, and I'm so glad it finally made its way to streaming, even if it took what felt like forever. This is obviously a favorite for me, as it is for many Swifties. As if the sad vibes on Midnight's was not enough, the final track, at least as of right now, from the Midnight's era is one of its most heartbreaking entries. No one expected a vault song from this album, but I'm glad we got it. Honestly, every time I hear You're Losing Me, I cry. I mean, how can you not? Every time you think this song cannot get more heartbreaking, it gets worse in the most beautiful of ways. In the context of an album that deals with themes like anxiety, depression, grooming, misogyny, fame, feminism, and many more topics, if you group this song with everything else, it just gets even more sad. Not too sad to the point where I don't think you can even listen to it, but it's one of those moments that puts you in the headspace of the artist when they're crafting an album like this. I mean, when all the music ceases and it's just stop, You're Losing Me, and the heartbeat, chills. Again though, as sad as it is, I'm glad she released it. Midnight's, when coupled with all of its bonus tracks, at its core, is a very sad album. It's retrospective and raw, which is why You're Losing Me is both an example of her lyrical genius and so apropos to the record as a whole. In the year it's been since Midnight's, some of my opinions have shifted, some have stayed the same, as she's released more and more snapshots of the era. As Taylor is in her era's era, exploring and resharing her entire catalog of music, it makes sense that a woman of her caliber in music in her 30s would be reflective of the past, and that reflection come out in her, as of right now, latest body of new material. For being only technically her fourth pop album, Midnight's still expertly highlights everything fans loved about her country or alternative endeavors, her storytelling. Taylor Swift has become an untouchable leader in the world of music, and even 1 year later, Midnight's still highlights why. It's sonically still relevant, it's lyrically genius, and jaw-droppingly vulnerable. Midnight's has what makes Taylor's music so accessible, a little something for everyone. And as she continues to destroy records set by the likes of Michael Jackson and the Beatles, it gets clearer each day, and especially with Midnight's, that Taylor Swift most definitely still is the music industry.